Well, it's Friday, and you all know what that means. As you know, AEW Rampage are in their final go home show before Revolution for this Sunday. We do have some very interesting matches. Certain wrestlers from the CMLL roster will be taking on action. One, of course, is Ru something, takes on Claudio. Magnus, who have you seen in the Fantastic Mania, takes on Matt Sydal. We do have Rio, who makes a return that takes on Trish Adora. And of course, the Righteous and Lance Archer are also in action. And then we move on to see who's going to level up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing the latest Pro Wrestling Noah show, Sunny Voyage. As you know, they continue with more of the Victory Challenge Tag League. So we're going to see who, in fact, will advance the next 2 points for them, or those who still haven't picked up their first win, but hopefully they get lucky. And then, of course, we have some news updates to give you guys updates on what's going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, any signed wrestlers, but also any developments that's been going on in pro wrestling that we don't know about, or do we know or hear rumors about. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put any updates for you on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real timing news updates to keep you guys on alert what's going on in the world of pro wrestling. We also do the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel. Or if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now let's begin with our very first review since we got all introductions out of the way. We begin with Pro Wrestling Noah. Alrighty then. So, Pro Wrestling Noah, Sunny Voyage 2024. As you know, they do an entire tour of the Sunny Voyage throughout Japan. So, as I mentioned before earlier, we have already started the Victory Challenge Tag League, which takes place during the Sunny Voyage. Now, we have witnessed certain wrestlers, they already have their first 2 points, but what about the ones that haven't? Will they get lucky or they will be winless? Well, that's something we don't know, but only time will tell how they will progress. But let's begin with our very first match. And this event, of course, took place on the 28th of February, since right now it is day 1 of March, I believe. Um, it was held in Shinjuku Face, in case anybody asks. Now, our first match is a three-way match. We have Junta Miyawaki versus Alejandro versus Hajime Ohara. Now, nothing significant about storyline wise of this one, but however, all three competitors are junior heavyweight competitors. We know they have challenged for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship previously on certain times. But how will this will be the one thing that would allow them to win? Well, It was Alejandro who picked up the win when he applied a code red onto Miyawaki, giving him a very impressive win. I'm sure Alejandro is trying to get in the conversation for a GHC Junior Heavyweight title match, which of course is now being targeted by GLG. So we'll see how things progress from there on out. Now, our next match, we have Shuhei Taniguchi representing Real, taking on the leader of GLG, Jake Lee. Now, we know Taniguchi as a member of Real, they are the toughest SOBs on the planet. But when it comes to Jake Lee always portrays himself as the guy who will lead Pro Wrestling Noah into the future. However, he has to go against a guy who is a tough SOB. You would think that would be a good challenge, but however, it was, of course, Jake Lee with a big boot onto the face of Taniguchi to pick up the win from there on. Our next match, we have tag team action. We have Ninja Mac and Hayata taking on GLG, LJ Cleary, and Anthony Green. Now, factor of this match, Anthony Green is not a junior heavyweight competitor since the others, LJ Clearing, Ninja Mac, and Hayata are. However, how will this progress? I don't know. But one thing it was clear to me, there was the moment in the final moments, like the final minutes of the match, LG Clearing was in the match against Hayata. Now, if LG Clearing picks up the win against Hayata, he will be in a conversation for a chance of the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship. Don't forget Hayata is a 3 or 4 time champion of that belt. However, Hayata did not allow him to win by he used the ropes when he pinned him in order to make sure he does not get out of it. Clearing was, of course, baffled of what he saw, even tried to tell the ref he saw the rope, but the referee did not see anything, neither did Ninja Mac, who doesn't play that type of game. But I'm sure Hayata is only doing that just to tell him, you're not beating me, bitch. That's what I think he was doing. So yeah. So we'll see what happens in the future between those two. Now, as we already begun with the Victory Challenge Tag League, we have our very first match with it. We have the brothers, Alpha Wolf and Dragon Bane, taking on the members of Rael, consistent of Saxon Huxley and Timothy Thatcher. Now, we know that Dragon and Alpha are two of the best high flyers we've seen so far. But when it comes to guys who are the toughest SOBs that will keep you on the ground, that will be an X factor there. But it was Saxon Huxley with a choke bomb onto Alpha Wolf to pick up the win, and they get the next 2 points. With the total of 4 points, that means they have 2 wins. And as for Alpha Wolf and his brother Dragon Bane, well, they only had 2 points from day one, but that means in the record it's 1-on-1, 1 win, 1 loss. As for Real, they're right now, I can say, currently undefeated with just 4 points. Now, our next match, we have Shujin Kondo and Manabu Soya taking on Ulka Sasaki and Takashi Sugiura. Now, this is going to be one of the most toughest challenges. Now, Manabu Soya, if you guys ever seen him, he is a freaking beast of nature. But when it comes to Takashi, you know, with Takashi Sugiura, he is a murder guy in the ring. You know that's who he is, and that's exactly how it's going to be. But what surprised me is that it was Sugiura who picked up the win with a surprise hurricanrana on Manabu Soya, gaining his next 2 wins. Right now, they are in a total of 4 points, meaning they are now undefeated, just like Rael. But however, Shujin Kondo and Manabu Soya, they have 2 points, but that means they are now the record in the tournament 1 win and 1 loss. So we'll see how things will go on. Now, our next match is a non-tag league match. We have GLG consisting of Tadasuke, Yohei, and Jack Morris taking on Super Crazy and Stinger consistent of Yoshinari Ogawa and Daga. Now, don't forget, Tadasuke issued the challenge towards Daga for his GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship, while Daga said, hey, if I'm going to put this belt on the line, put your tag titles on the line as well. So that was pretty much the case. Now, the last time these guys tangled with each other, Daga disqualified himself and left a bloody Tadasuke laying around in his own pool of blood. Now, you ask yourself this question because of that situation. Do you think Tadasuke would try to do worse? Well, I can skip ahead and say yes. Well, he actually disqualified himself when he whacked Daga with his belt, or was it his? And then, of course, he completely lost control. He attacked Super Crazy with the belt, even Ogawa. But however, he completely lost control of himself. He went ahead and attacked Daga, but GLG tried everything in their power to restrain him, try to calm him down. He knows that he's frustrated after what happened the last time, but I don't think Tadasuke cares because he wants to rip the head off of Daga. But I'm asking myself this question about Daga: is he playing games with him, like try to make him frustrated as much as possible so he can lose focus? I mean, I would say he's playing a psychological war game here with him, and I'm sure he's probably laughing his butt off. But we will see when the day comes when they will challenge for that belt. So we'll see. Now, as we continue with our last two matches involving the Victory Challenge Tag League, our next match we have Atsushi Kotoge and Go Shiozaki. They take on Masa Kitamiya and Daika Inaba. I have to say this was going to be a impressive match. Now, I know that Kotoge is in a tough challenge because I mention this quite often. Kotoge started out as a junior heavyweight competitor, but now that he stepped away from that and gained muscle, jumping into the heavyweight scene, I think this was going to be a good match. However, he had an impressive match when he ended up in a time limit draw. But however, how will this play out? Well, he didn't have to do anything because it was Go Shiozaki who did all the work when he took out Daiki Inaba with the lariat, giving them their next 2 points, leaving, of course, Kitamiya and Inaba with just zero. So basically, Naba and Kitamiya have 0 points, so they have two losses right now in their midst. And as for Sushi Kotoge and Go Shiozaki, one win and one loss. So not bad for a start. Now our next match, this was a very interesting match. Not because I say so, because there's many factors involved in this. We have Rohei Oiwa and Keito Kiyomiya taking on Yu Owada and Keno. Now, what is so special about this match? Those who follow Pro Wrestling Noah, Keno has always had a dislike criticism towards Keito Kiyomiya for years. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm referring to, let me explain. Keno has always been a wrestler who is not afraid to speak his mind and give his honest opinion. He always declared Kiyomiya as a fake wrestler because when Pro Wrestling Noah was owned by Lidet, they chose him as their golden boy, as we call it here in the States. And Kiyomiya and Keno has always criticized him, and not to mention, he even made fun of him, saying, "Oh, you say you're the savior of Noah, but you lost to Kaguchika Okada. How embarrassing you got yourself into." So that's always been the case. Now, Kiyomiya is not afraid to admit, yes, I screwed up, I made mistakes. But this match played a very important storyline in their history between Kiyomiya and Keno. Now, you probably would say Kiyomiya will get the advantage because not to mention he is a really good wrestler who is trying to prove that he should be the next ace of Noah. But what surprisingly is Owada surprised everybody, including Keno, who is his mentor. What happened is the match ended in a time limit draw after 20 minutes. Of course, they can Rohio cannot believe that it ended in that fashion. So this is our very first match in the tournament that ends in a draw. Now, you would think Keno would be upset with the draw. No. He was happy with the fact that Owada, no matter what Kiyomiya was doing to him, tried to choke him out. He did not give up. He held on as long as possible until the time limit draw was over, and he was happy with the results, knowing, like, hey kid, you did good. You did not win or lose, but it showed to me you hang in there no matter what. so he knows. But I think Keno saw this as a way to insult Kiyomiya in every way possible, because Kiyomiya was about to say something. He had no words and he just tossed the mic and left. Like, left in disappointment, left in frustration, knowing that things did not go exactly. Because here's the thing, Owada should have been the one to take the fall, but it did not. It did not go his way. But I'm sure Keno is laughing his butt off, gloating, saying, "Ha, you couldn't beat him." But I'm sure Keno feels very satisfied knowing, not only because the match ended in a time limit draw, because he saw Owada, he is learning from the best. Wada said he wants to learn from him. Keno has never had a student before, and I'm sure he's deep down happy like a father, knowing, yes, I finally taught someone what he needs to do. So I'm sure, even though in Japanese culture, for wrestlers, being in a time limit draw sucks, but for Keno, he'll take it no matter what. So hope things work out for them in the next matches for them, but we'll see how time rolls up. So I think right now we're done with pro wrestling, Noah. So let's move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage, this is their final go home show before Revolution. So let's get started. Now, our first match we have representing CMLL, Rugido, who is one half of the Mexican National Tag Team Champions with Magnus, and I'll get to him a bit. He faces against Claudio Castagnoli. Now, of course, we have seen the war between both Claudio and of the BCC and anybody in CML. As you know, they've been disrespected by the BCC before, not to mention invading their house, all this other stuff. However, you would think that this is going to be a very impressive match. Well, it kind of did. Uh, I never seen Rugido before, but very impressive wrestler. But his skill wasn't enough when, of course, Claudio face planted him with the Gotch style pile driver, ending the match. And then, of course, Claudio took a page out of Brian Danielson's playbook. If you guys remember, Brian Danielson beat Jun Akiyama and then he kicked him in the groin. And now he decided to do the same thing. However, Magnus show up, to back up his tag partner. So that's pretty much what happened from there. Now, our next match, we have Lance Archer and the Righteous versus Vaunt, Anaya, and Luke Langley. I don't know who these guys are, but you probably guessed by watching this match, or just already, it's like, okay, the match has already been told. It was going to be Lance Archer and the Righteous to pick up the win, which they did when Archer applied Langley the blackout, yelling out, "Everybody dies!" Bam! Right there. He put his foot on his chest. 1, 2, 3. Good night, Langley. Now, our next match, we have Rio, who returns again, takes on Trish Adora. Now, of course, Trish Adora, we know she's a strong, capable wrestler. We have seen her. If you guys seen her in the Independence, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Rio, we can always say the first ever AEW Women's Champion, and all this and that. Um, you know that no matter what Trish Adora would do, due to the fact of Rio's size, Rio will not give up that easily. But it only took a running double knee strike onto Trish Adora for Rio to pick up her win. Now, as you know, we were getting ready to see Ruby Soho and Cool Hand Ange go on their date. They were surprised by the arrival of Saraya and Harley Cameron, but unfortunately, Cool Hand got attacked by Zack Knight and knocking him out, and they forced Ruby Soho to watch him being attacked by Zack. I'm sure Ruby and Cool Hand will have their revenge against them. We just gotta wait and see when that day happens. So, now our main event, we already see Rugido in action. Now his tag partner, Magnus. Now, if you guys ever seen Magnus, I mentioned him before during the Fantastica Mania tour he did with the guys in CML in Japan. So he was the guy who started a little bit of a beef with tiger mask, and then later he got a little payback against the House of Torture. It turns out that Magnus, later I found out, he is Mystico's brother. Wow. So, but he faces against Matt Sydal. Now, don't forget, Matt Sydal and several others are in a war against CML for what they did a couple weeks ago. But you would think that Matt Sydal will pick up the win since this is their house. But however, he already lost to his brother Mystico. But this time, held, let's just say history repeat itself. He may have lost to Big Brother. Now he lost to Little Brother Magnus when he did a running knee strike right in the corner side of the ring, and boom, it was over. I mean, that's embarrassing for Matt Sydal. I'm sure everybody in the locker room are not happy with his loss, but we'll see where that leads us from there now. So I think that's pretty much it with AEW Rampage. Let's move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest NXT Level Up? So we'll find out. Now, our first match, we have Channing Stacks Lorenzo along with Andrea Rizzo. He takes on Kel Dixon, who we haven't seen for a while, according to what our commentators, Byron Braxton, and I forgot who the other guy was, mentioned he was out due on injury, which now he's. But one thing that was really interesting is I kind of forgot about this, and yes, if you remember that storyline where Don was arrested and they were looking for the culprit who ratted him out, it was Kel Dixon who was being suspect on that. But I'm sure Kel Dixon would probably use that as a way to get payback for what happened. You would think that was going to be the real logical thing. However, it's been a while since we've seen Stacks in singles competition, but due to the direction of what Tony D'Angelo wanted, I think this is a good opportunity for Stacks to step up his plate. Because, as you know, Tony D'Angelo is aiming for the NXT title, so we'll see where that leads. But, however, Stacks did a pretty good job standing on his own, but it took only the right in cement just to put him out and picking up his first singles win like that. Now, Sarah, who is the backstage interviewer, interviews Javon Evans, who will be in the main event to take on the big body Javi. So he told him that he respects him, but however, he's hungry, that he wants to go up to the next level as possible. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Our next match, we have Lola Vice versus Ren Sinclair. Now, we know Lola Vice has been one of those wrestlers that fans are appreciating because we saw what she can do in the ring. Not to mention breaking away from, what's her name? Elektra Lopez. But it did play out pretty well. Now, you'd think Ren Sinclair will hold her own as much as possible. Well, that wasn't the case because it was the spinning back fist by Lola Vice to put her away and knock her out. 1, 2, 3. It was over. Now, our main event, Javier Bernal, or as we call him, Big Body Javi, takes on Javon Evans. I have to say, this was a pretty impressive match, especially for a newcomer like Javon Evans, who I was impressed. Now, I was impressed with how this match ended, to be honest with you, because the rest of the match was okay, but the impression is he went into the top corner, then he did like a somewhat of a corkscrew and then body press. I don't know exactly what that was. I mean, we have seen NXT Level Up moments. I mean, who could forget about Soruka Soul Snatcher? That was impressive. But now he's doing something cool. So I'm very happy that he is impressing us, and I think he impressed me too. But I like to see more of him. So that's one of the key things that I like about watching NXT Level Up. So I think that's pretty much it right now with everything. With all the reviews, let's move on with news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's give you guys updates on what's going on in the world pro wrestling. First, starting with the promotions on updates on their upcoming events. Now, we're not that far off with Gatoh Move with their upcoming show. The first time in a couple years, they returned to Corkin Hall. Now, not the full card has been announced, but certain things have been announced regarding that particular show, and this took place on the 13th of March. Mizuki from Tokyo Pro Wrestling, who in fact was trained by Emi Sakura, will be there at the show. So, no announcement yet if who will be her opponent just yet. CDK, Chris Brooks, and Masahiro Takanashi will be in action. They'll be facing against Gaio Nox and Munetatsu Nakamura. And then, of course, we were told that the Asian Dream Tag Team titles will be defended in a four-way. So I'm kind of curious what the Best Bros are going to do. Don't remember who were their opponents, but I do know a few of them that will be there. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, as you know, in a recent report, I mentioned KAOZ Lucha Libre for the 39th anniversary show. It was announced that the KAOZ women's title has been vacant, and now they announced there's going to be a five-way match to crown a brand new women's champion. And here are the ones who are participating: Keira, Ayako Amada, Natalia Markova, Jalissa, and a surprise uh, entry. Now, we know that Jalissa, as you know, she is the current Crash Women's Champion. That's something that's been familiarized. We all know who Natalia Markova. You've seen her in NWA and several other places. Ayako Amada, I know about her. Her dad is a wrestler, but she spent a lot of her time in Mexico, as you may have known. Now, interesting developments. As you know, for the upcoming WrestleMania week, Spark Yoshi Pro Wrestling of America will be uh, in there. They announced a surprise appearance, and I think many of you who may or may not have heard about this, Mayu Iwatani, the icon of Stardom, will be there. This is a surprise, and I'm sure with Mayu being there, tickets will be sold out completely. I can guarantee you that. Now, on Cinco de Mayo, we have Gringo Loco's World of on Lucha from the GCW banner. This will take place on Cinco de Mayo, which is kind of cool. They announced that Commander will be there, Pimpinela, Dulce Tormenta, Artemis, El Mendino, and Gringo Loco. Now, I'm sure there's going to be more names mentioned, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, for some interesting developments going on in the world of pro wrestling, let's talk about the reports coming from Wrestling Observer. Now, as you know, recently I mentioned that Mina Shirakawa and Azumi will be participating in the Windy City Riot show in Chicago real soon. However, it was confirmed by Wrestling Observer that by Meltzer himself that, of course, Mina and Azumi are going to stay with Stardom. They just re-signed with them. So that was the key questions we ask ourselves. Who was going to stay with Stardom? Who's going to believe? Now we do know that Micah and Tam Nakano are gonna stay, um, and all this other stuff. So we'll get more into that at some point. More on in the Wrestling Observer report. It was told that Aries, Toxin, and Lactigo has quit AAA Lucha Libre. Now, according to what they report, that's not the real story that they've been hearing about. It turns out that they only had a couple of days left on their with them, and I don't know why they're saying they quit, but they're saying they a couple. I don't know, but I'm sure the reason is this. Certain people is saying that they haven't been seen much in AAA due to the fact of their involvement in the U.S. Maybe that's the reason why, but hopefully we can get more the answer. Now, as you know, with TNA making its return, there were a lot of big goals that they want to do this. Apparently, one of those goals that they want to do is to have their shows weekly at Full Sail University. If you guys remember, that is the same location where NXT did their shows for years. And of course, because of this, they were planned. Scott D'Amore was fired because he wanted to do this instead. However, Anthem thought that they should do these shows at a different location. Hold on, let me pull up exactly what the location they were planning. They said that this was that they were planning to use Santino Marilla's gym in Mississauga in Ontario, Canada. But however, the entire location is set up for wrestling and MMA. So I don't know if that would have been a good choice, but it seems that the choice that they wanted to go is with Full Sail. So I mean, it would have been a lot cooler, but we'll see what happens with them from here on out. Now, our reports coming from Fightful Select. Now, some key details have been revealing about Deonna Purrazzo's process in signing with AEW, and this is what she had to say. I reached out to Sanjay Dutt, and I was like, "My contract is coming up. We're about 90 days out. I will be free as January 1st. I would love to talk if there's any interest in having me. Let me know what those next steps look like." We went back and forth a little bit. Of course, Britt didn't know these conversations were happening. Then I got put in touch with Tony Khan. We talked directly at the beginning of December. We hopped on Zoom call and felt like it was a done deal. But of course, you would never know until it actually is. So basically, it turns out that once her contract was almost up, she already decided to make her decision to move to AEW, which is good. As you know, we got AEW Revolution coming up, and this also has been declared as Sting's final match. Magnum TA, uh, if you guys don't know who he is, he's a former wrestler. He's also the stepfather of Tessa Blanchard. So he announced that he will be at Sting's final match. Really cool to hear that someone that he knows will be there to watch this match. And finally, for our last report coming from Fightful Select, as you know, this past Wednesday we saw Sting make his surprise entrant with coming down from the rafters. Now, Sting hasn't done this thing due to a certain situation that happened a couple of decades ago. If you guys know who I'm referring to, Owen Hart. Now, according to what Fightful Select reports, Tony Khan had a talk with Martha Hart because, as you know, this thing will always piss her off and haunt it. And I really like Tony Khan, who is trying to be upfront with her about this, and they told her, look, this is Sting's last dynamite. We really want him to come down the rafters come down the rafters, but we don't want to bring in some trauma in your guys' life after what happened to your late husband. And of course, Martha Hart gave their blessing. And I think it's a good thing because I think Martha Hart appreciates Tony Khan being upfront with her, not try to bring trauma into her lives after what happened to her late husband, Owen Hart. And I think this is pretty cool that they were asking permission before they do it. And I think that's a really good thing. And I give props to Tony Khan to be upfront about that with Martha Hart. Now, I mentioned before, as you know, there's been talks about the potential partnership between All Japan Pro Wrestling and WWE. It turns out there's been backstage turmoil amidst to this partnership. Now, I know some of you WWE fan base will say, well, they need to grow up. Guys, look, some Japanese wrestlers are not feeling the WWE love. That's obvious. Now, I'm not saying it because I'm saying it. I'm saying that's what I've been hearing, on social media. But also, there's the talks of hopes of seeing Nakajima, who is the current Triple Crown champion, to make his way to NXT to wrestle there. Not as a member of the NXT roster, but represent All Japan Pro Wrestling. So who knows where this is going to lead. But there's those that they are highly doubt that this partnership will ever go through. So we'll see. Now, those who are Tokyo Pro Wrestling fans, then you should know we have a brand new up girl who will be making her debut on March 3rd. Her name is Uta Takumi. Is now the newest up girl. She's originally from Ishikawa Prefecture. She was born on March 29th, 2007. She's about 150 centimeters tall. So that's pretty much the basic of what they announced her. Hopefully, I get to see her. Now, there's been now, as you know, I mentioned this earlier in the Wrestling Observer reports about um who's going to be leaving Stardom. Now we do know Julia is one who will be leaving and joining Rossi's promotion. Apparently, this one was coming from Monthly Puroresu. They said that there's no concrete names have been mentioned on who's leaving. So basically, we're still unknown. So we do know certain wrestlers that are staying, but beyond that, we just don't know who is. We just gotta wait and see until it happens. Now, Evolution Girls, Ishi- Shuji Ishikawa has announced that they will be, in fact, doing public auditions. Now, if you guys know this, Ishikawa recently left All Japan Pro Wrestling due to the fact that All Japan decided to have a working relationship with at-risk girls instead of using Evolution Girls. And he said that he will he wants to go to war against Stardom, and not to mention hopes to get 10 new girls by the end of this year. So anything's a possibility. So these public auditions is probably his way of trying to find more girls who will be interested in becoming a pro wrestler. So we'll see what the future holds. But I have to say, I like, of course, certain girls that were involved. Not to mention, it's really fun. So I think that's pretty much it right now with everything else we've done with our reviews and news updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have Collision, which is, of course, the last show before we head to Revolution. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure many of you too. Um, we'll see how things will roll up. Um, I still haven't seen the much recent All Japan Pro Wrestling shows. I'm having a hard time seeing GCW's Touch the Sky. I'm having trouble with that. But we'll see what happens from here on out. But my plan is to have Collision. That's a top priority. But we'll see. So right now, I think that's pretty much it what we have for all of you. So I will say this. I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.